about 1.3 million Kenyans have disability, but World Health Organization refute that and put about 6 million. And as a country, we have beautiful laws, the Disability Act, the current Constitution, and even the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability. Unfortunately, up to today, there is no policy that operationalizes those laws to make services accessible to these most marginalized communities. From 2006, National Disability Policy is still a draft. When you will be elected as a president in your first 100 days, what will you promise these Kenyans who feel, despite these great laws, they are still at peripheries in accessing the services? And I wish you good luck in your campaigns. Thank you.
A very specific question, Mr. Odinga, about disability.
We will ensure that the National Disability Policy is passed together with the enabling legislation, so that the people with disabilities can be adequately catered for. When I was Minister for Public Works, I actually came up with the regulations to ensure that all public buildings are user-friendly to people with disability. So it is something that we are genuinely committed to ensure that people with disability are given equal opportunity. Because as I believe, disability is not inability, and therefore they must be given opportunity to serve the country.
Thank you, and that will be the final question from the audience. Honorable Odinga, 2 more questions from this desk as moderators of the night. My first question to you, Honorable Odinga, is you come from a family, one of 2 families that have for the last 50 years plus dominated Kenyan politics. How would you respond to perceptions that these 2 families have held Kenyan politics hostage, literally, and with 2 characteristics? One family moving with a sense of entitlement in terms of leadership, and another with a sense of victimhood. Entitlement on the Kenyatta family and victimhood on the Oginga family. What do you say to those perceptions?
I think they are very misconceived perceptions. First, begin at the beginning. Jomo Kenyatta initially was a freedom fighter, and he was imprisoned by the colonialists for 9 years, kept under very inhuman conditions. Jaramogi, on the other hand, became a freedom fighter and fought for the release of Kenyatta. And when Kenyatta was released, Kenyatta then became the president, Jaramogi became the vice president. So they earned those positions by virtue of the fact that they sacrificed for the freedom of this country. So it was not like entitlement. The Kenyan people voluntarily elected them to those positions at that time. They disagreed in the course of implementation of policies during independence. And Jaramogi resigned from the government and went into opposition. The rest is history. Jaramogi became a leader of the opposition until he died. I, on my side, I was involved in what we call the second liberation, not by invitation from my father, but basically out of conviction. And therefore I was not in politics because my father introduced me to politics. I came into politics alone, and I've been in politics because of what I think is right for this country. As you know, I've also been in political detention for a long time. You saw me walk away from that place because of that light interferes with me, and you see my eyes sometimes watering because of damages I suffered when I was in the detention and the poor lighting in detention. That is what damaged my eyes. Now, I have continued on this because I represent the force for change in the country. Uhuru Kenyatta Then was introduced to politics by the former president, Daniel Arap Moi, who then picked him as his preferred heir when he was quitting politics. So Uhuru came in by invitation from his mentor, former President Daniel Arap Moi. But he's then remained now an actor on his own when Moi left the stage. So he's also not here because his father brought him into the stage. He's a Kenyan, like any other Kenyan. So I think it is very unfair to infer that we have held this country hostage as families.
I think you've answered the question, and I will also be asking you about your relationship with Uhuru Kenyatta in a moment, but I think there's an audience question that we had skipped, Joe.
Yes, and that was from Phyllis Omido. So we can do that before we wrap things up here. Phyllis.
Thank you. So the biggest contributor to climate change is carbon emissions. This is mainly from big business, especially tragic projects like the Lamu coal plant. Kenya has had a maize crisis that government has largely blamed on climate change, and yet even after acknowledging contributions of climate change to food security, all the manifestos were silent in terms of mitigation of impacts of climate change to our communities. Now, even though your manifesto gave a leeway in terms of environmental social impact assessment before projects, I would like to know that for cases like the Lamu coal plant, where it's clear that the social environmental impacts will be irreversibly terrible for the communities, what would you do as an executive to protect communities from such impacts?
Well, we know that the climate change is a major threat to survival of humanity generally. And that's the reason why it is an issue that must be handled internationally. And that's why we have, as a country, made a lot of contribution to the debate on climate change all over the world. As a Prime Minister, I was very much involved in these matters. We as a country need to take action to protect our environment, to basically reduce the carbon emission coming from our country. Remember, I was responsible for conservation and protection of our water towers, which are 5 generally, and several others. We as NASA actually have discussed that issue, and that's why in our manifesto we're talking about doing due diligence on projects before they are sanctioned. You are talking specifically about a project in Lamu, but I just want to tell you that coal plants still exist all over the world. You go to China, they're there. You go to Europe, they're there. In the United States, they're there. There's what is called clean coal. Clean coal as opposed to just ordinary coal plants. So that is an issue that needs to be looked at more comprehensively rather than just emotionally. And you know that in those other countries, they exist not just one plant. There are several plants. So the clean coal projects generally are acceptable internationally. So this is what we need to debate. What kind of system are they putting up in Lamu? Because I know the environmentalists sometimes go overboard. You remember when we were setting up the Sondu Miriu project in Sondu, there was a lot of noise. The Tiamin plant in Kwale elicited also a lot of opposition. I think these are issues that we must look at on a case-by-case basis in order to justify actions that are being taken by the government. If the Lamu coal is a project that is going to destroy or interfere with the environment, of course we will not accept it. So it depends on what technology they're going to use.
Thank you, Honorable Odinga. We have two final questions before we allow you to make your closing statement. And earlier on, you defended both the Kenyatta and Odinga family about their role in politics. And I now want to come specifically to your relationship with President Uhuru Kenyatta. In one of your many football commentaries, Honorable Odinga, you once said, in my presence as a reporter, that Uhuru ameanguka chini, sijui amekunywa nini, which in effect was a suggestion about sobriety or drunkenness. Last week, a few weeks ago, you sat quietly behind one of your political surrogates as he called Uhuru Mlevi and DP William Ruto Mwizi. Now, to their side, very many times, speaking in his Kikuyu language, Uhuru Kenyatta has referred to you as Mogoroki and Kimudu, which in my little understanding of the Kikuyu language means a madman. The Deputy President calls you, not with in complimentary terms, mtu wa vitendawili. This is basically your language, the language of Uhuru and the language of Raila. Do you approve of this kind of language for this level of leadership? Two people with a mathematical chance of becoming president.
I don't remember ever saying that Uhuru amenguka na sijui amekunywa nini. But even if I said it, it must have been with a light touch, that amekunywa nini. But that will not mean that he is a drunkard at all. And when you talk about one of my, you call him my surrogate, or I think that is not a fair comment on an honorable member of parliament, if that is what you mean. I mean, there are political jokes. If somebody says that the vehicle is being driven by a drunkard driver and a town boy who is a thief, I don't think he was meaning Uhuru unless they themselves feel guilty. I think that is just said with a light touch. Politics must come up with some jokes. And like when Uhuru refers to me as Kimundu Muguruki, I don't think he means it. I don't think he thinks I'm a madman. But that basically means that the kitchen is too hot for him. So if the kitchen is too hot, get out of the kitchen. You see? And the deputy president at the William Zero of it in the really. You see, that means there's something that is issuing about it in the really. And I say that Pilipili Shoila, Yakuasheni, if you're having a problem with it, just leave it. So we in NASA, we basically respond seriously to allegations that are made, but we also respond in kind and sometimes in jokes. If the debris becomes very irresponsible, we tell them what we think should be right. That is politics, in my view.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Odinga. Finally, there are a lot of Kenyans who are worried about the election we will have in the next 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, there are Kenyans who are stocking up. There are Kenyans who are making plans to travel to different places. There are even some foreign missions that are issuing some travel advisories around this election. Do you share those concerns, Mr. Odinga?
I would love to inform Kenyans that Kenyans have a constitutional right to participate in these elections. I think there's some scarecrow. Some people are basically trying to scare Kenyans because they want to deprive those Kenyans of their constitutional right to vote. So people are being told, oh, there's going to be violence around. Some notes are even being written threatening some people so that the people can run away, particularly from urban areas, to go to safety. I have urged our supporters not to fall to this, that they should stay put. I don't see any problems happening. We have said that there will be no violence in Kenya so long as elections are free and fair. And the government has assured us that they are not going to interfere. The IEBC has assured us that the elections are going to be free and fair. So we should not be scared. People should not run away from where they're staying, because by running away, you are actually depriving us of your vote, either Jubilee or NASA. So we want these elections to be won fairly. And we want Jubilee to also desist from trying to manipulate the electoral results, as I mentioned earlier on, using the security forces. We want to win fairly. And if we win fairly, fine. We have also said that in the unlikely event of us losing, we will congratulate Jubilee. They've been asking all the times, are you going to accept results? We will accept free, fair electoral results, outcome. If they're free and fair, we will accept them.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Odinga.
Before you leave,
we welcome you to make your closing comment.
Thanks. Let me stand up here. There are two groups of people I did not address. One issue of housing. I did not address it.